Hello, everyone. So we are identifying who the fuck you are because before you can show up as the authority in your industry, you've got to get crystal absolutely clear on you. Because when you know who you are at your core, your values, your strengths, your non-negotiables, you stop shrinking, you stop people pleasing, and you start stepping into your full power unapologetically. And this is the area where most people don't go deep enough. They don't go deep enough into it, hence, they end up blending in. So, this is the first step in really embodying your authority era. So, it's too easy to get caught up in doing what we think we should do or what others expect or what we see others doing. But this is about stripping all of that away and leaning into who you are because knowing who you are, knowing yourself is key, like absolutely key to see the success you want in your business. How can you build a business or a brand that feels authentic if you don't know what you stand for? If you're constantly trying to be what you think people want, you're never going to stand out. So the real power lies in owning who you are, the version of you that feels the most aligned, the most unstoppable, and ready to confidently show up like this. Because there will be so many trends out there, so many shiny objects, so many like, do it this way, this is dead. But authority leaders don't follow trends, they set them. And you are an authority, my lovely. And that is what we're going to be doing in this mastermind. So, strategically, and we are talking about strategically here, strategically identifying your unique authority, your edge, comes from fully understanding these key pillars, which I'm going to talk you through now. Okay. So, your authority edge lies in the center of truly knowing yourself, truly knowing yourself, like at the core, and staying true to that. And if you see here, your authority edge lies in the middle of all of these five pillars. And this is the strategy of you. Okay. This is where my now trademarked, and I'm very proud of this, the strategy of you comes in. Because for context, the strategy of you came about in my first year of business when I had clients, but they were inconsistent and I realized I wasn't standing out. Okay. I wasn't owning what I was about, what I valued compared to like all the others in my niche, which is why I didn't stand out. So I developed the strategy of you method. I followed it myself. And within weeks, I was standing out in my brand. I was connecting with more of my dream clients and I was bringing in more clients than ever before to the point of being sold out. So I know the strategy of you works. And it's how we're going to identify today in this training who the fuck you are and why your clients are going to be absolutely jumping to work with you. Okay. So without the strategy of you, without the strategy of you, without you, none of the other bricks in your business, and I love to talk about foundations and give you a little bit of a metaphor, but without you, none of these other bricks that you need to have in place to be having consistent 5K months as your norm will stick. Okay. So you are the most fundamental part. You've also got your ideal clients in your niche. They form the basis. On top of that, so only when these are super solid and cemented in, will your offers land? Will your messaging and content land? Will your personal brand stand out? Will you start selling? All of these things come on top of you. Okay. So let's get into it and audit your identity by working through the strategy of you. So we are going to start with, for me, one of the most important things, but I'll say that about all of them. One of the most important things when it comes to the strategy of you, and that is your authenticity. Okay. Your authenticity is going to be your competitive advantage. It's how you stand out. It's how you take a stand in what you believe in. And you build trust by being unapologetically you. And authenticity is exactly what it says on the tin. But in business, it is actually one of the hardest things to truly embody, because as you build and grow your brand, the temptation to compare things, tweak things, water yourself down creeps in. But the moment you start building and shaping your business around what you think will sell instead of who you really are, you're going to lose the very thing that makes you stand out in the first place. Okay. Your dream clients don't just buy what you do, they buy into who you are. When you show up unapologetically as you attract the right people effortlessly. And this is why authenticity isn't just like a nice to have in your business, it's your most powerful business move, to be an authority, to stand out, to be the go-to. So the question is, who are you? All right. So this is an example of some traits, because sometimes I found we all need a place to start, okay? Because it's hard to come up with things off the top of your head. So there's lots of things here, and they kind of come under 5 different columns, but none of this isn't to say these are the only personality traits. These are just some that I put up here as an example. So I've circled some of the ones that stand out, which are authentically me. Okay, so like intuitive, methodical, positive, motivating, encouraging. Hopefully you agree with these. Trustworthy, inspirational, confident, ambitious, motivated, strategic. Okay, now if I just take one of those, like strategic, I am quite a strategic person. I'm quite an organized, I'm a bit of a planner. It's the Virgo in me. That is naturally an authentic trait of mine. And then to bring that into my business, that is now part of my business. Like what I do is very strategic. Okay, how I help clients is through strategy. And even if it wasn't through strategy, how I would help them would still be very strategic. It's an authentic trait of mine. Okay, so I want you to start here for yourself in this like really zoomed out approach. But I really want you to ask yourself, as you can use these examples, or you might already know these, or you can find a different list. Okay, I want you to start, but I really want you to ask yourself, is this authentically me, or is this what I'm trying to be? So for example, would you like to say you're authentically confident, but actually it's something you're trying to be more of? Okay, so would you like to circle methodical? Would you like to circle it, but actually when you ask yourself, is this authentically me, maybe you're not the most methodical person? It's not a negative, but I really want you to tune into your authentic traits, and then you go deeper. So you might have your traits, but then these are some questions to ask yourself and things for you to answer. Okay, and you can do them now. You can pause this, or you can come back to this, and you can sit, and this can be like a real journaling, working on your business. Okay, so how can you take what being authentic means to you and then be fully you in your business? So if you say, let's go with that same example, if you say you're strategic and you're a very strategic person in life, in the way you are as a person, as a mum, as whatever your career is or was, like, is there a way that you can bring that part of you into your business? If you're goofy, like, and naturally, like, quite light and goofy and funny, and you love being that way, is there a way that you can bring that into your business? Ask yourself, like, what do I stand for? What do I believe in? And what do I not believe in? This one comes into values as well. What am I absolutely like done putting up with and tolerating in my life and my business? Okay, because these are all things that lead into your authenticity, your being real. What do I want my life and business to feel like, not look like? What do I want it to feel like? And where am I still holding back on my business out of fear? And then what would it look like to fully own my voice. So if I wasn't holding back from that fear, what would it actually look like? Okay. And there's like examples of this that I wanted to share with you of how this then really subtly threads through into every part of your business. So I've just put two examples of mine. So this was a piece of content I put up about around Halloween. There was this trend going around on social media, like a haunted house. No, half of the people didn't get it, but a haunted house. But so it might say like, you know, you're scared of this, but you're still doing this. So I made a joke out of it, and I said like a haunted house, but everyone's jumping on the haunted house trend because they don't know what to post. And actually, this post got me so much feedback and interaction because I was like just being real. And that's what authenticity is. Okay. I just had enough of it. So it's a part of me showing what I stand for, although it's a silly thing, but also what I'm done with in business. Okay. And then this was just one of my stories where I'm like out shopping, I'm having a coffee, but I'm also doing a little bit of learning. And this is showing that I practice what I preach, like building a business which works for your life is like what balance looks like. And it embodies me and what I talk about all the time in really subtle, silly ways. Coffee shop, shopping, working at the same time. It's these subtle nuances that you bring your authenticity into your business. And it can thread through everything. It doesn't have to be overthought when you know what truly makes you authentic and you show up in that way all of the time. Okay, so the second stage of the strategy of you is your personal story or your brand story. Okay, now again, this is really important. The slide doesn't want to change. This is really important because your personal or your brand story is about connection and a core part of your authority. Okay, so your personal brand story is part of what makes you an authority. It's part of what's going to make you stand out, and it's part of what's going to make you be the go-to. Okay, and the right story builds trust, credibility, and leadership in your space. And what I mean when I say the right story is that when you really tune into how your story threads through and leads into your business, and you use that strategically in your messaging, in your branding, that's what's going to build trust, credibility, and leadership in your space. So, again, I thoroughly believe, before I get into these questions, that one of the most underrated parts of building your authority is your personal brand and story. And so many people don't like spend long on this, or so many business owners skip over it, thinking people just want the strategy, they want the step by step, they want the how to. But that's not what makes someone choose you over the thousands of other coaches, strategists, virtual assistants, service providers out there, whatever your role is. People don't just buy a service. You will have heard me and many other people say this all of the time. People don't just buy a service, they buy into a person, someone they connect with, someone they trust, someone who like gets them on a deeper level. And this is where your story comes in. It's the experiences you've had, it's the lessons you've learned, it's the things you've overcome. The things that are going to make you really stand out are those. It's what makes your brand feel real, relatable, and different from the sea of sameness. Because we talk about online businesses being saturated online, but that just means there's lots of them. You can stand out, and that's what we're doing. Okay. But even more than that, your story is what positions you as the expert. So when people see that you've been where they are, they instantly trust that you can lead them forwards. Okay. But that isn't about just saying it once. It's again about it threading through. So also it's important to note that this isn't about oversharing your entire life story. It's about picking out the moments that matter, the lessons, the pivots you've made, the breakthroughs you might have had that have shaped your business and the way you help your clients to date. Okay. Because when your dream clients see themselves in your story, they don't just follow you, they see you as the person that they need in their corner. Okay. So these are some of the questions to bring all of that out to help you. So, what is it about you and your experiences that have put you in the place you're in today? Like, are there any defining moments? What are those experiences? How does your story directly relate to the transformation you help your clients achieve? Okay. What challenges, setbacks, turning points have shaped your experience? So it might be that, so the example that I use is at the beginning of my business, I found it really hard to get clients because I was doing the wrong things. I now take those challenges and take those setbacks. I talk about them all the time. I don't hide from those because that is an extra addition of what makes me a great business coach and mentor, because I know what doesn't work as well as what does. So these challenges and setbacks actually help in your personal brand story. And which parts of your journey will resonate with your ideal clients and make them feel seen, make them feel like you get them. And then how could you use your story to not just like inspire others, like, oh, she did it, so I can do it too, but position you as the authority that they trust. These are things to dive into, to reflect on, to ask yourself. And some of these you might sit down to work on and be like, what, I don't know. Those are the times that you reach out in the group. We talk about it on one of our strategy like weekly calls. This is so important to find the strategy of you so that it weaves through everything, because this is the core of you being an authority. And again, just some examples of how this can then be threaded through and shine through in your business. So these are just screenshots of previous stories. So this one, I was marketing my She's in Business group, which was for new business owners. And I owned the journey that got me here. So it was just, I was on holiday. It says 3 years ago, I had flop masterclass, flop first offer, and was posting content 2 times a day with no conversion. So instantly, that is like, I've been where you are. Okay. And then this one was just me out with my son, and I'd spent the whole day with him. It was a reel actually. And I'd also gone and got my nails done and just like had the most perfect day, like my freedom-based day in business. And this is how my values and my story directly relate to what my clients also want. Midweek days off. Okay. More balance in my life. Talk about these things all the time. And then I show up showing that those things happen. So that's how you weave them in. When it comes to the third stage of the strategy of you, this in some ways is like the first step. But what you will see as we continue going through this is they all link together, because your vision and values very much links to your authenticity, because it's what everything is built on. Again, it's what like your vision for your life and your businesses, but it's what you value, because that is undoubtedly part of your why for why you're in business. And your vision and your values are what is going to give your brand, your business, a really clear direction, because they are going to shape and change how you show up, how you stand out to people, and also how you attract the right people. And the right people are your dream clients, the people that you want to work with, not just the people who fit your criteria of, oh, they're in business, so therefore my dream client. No, it's have they got the characteristics, the personality of my dream client? Because you can think about all of those things as well. It's really important. Like, who are you going to vibe with when you're working together? That's your dream client. And when you've got your vision and values really clear and they come through in your brand, that'll stand out to the right people. So, questions to think about when it comes to your vision and values are like, well, actually, before I go into those, just remember that to scale a business that feels like an extension of you, you've got to be like so clear on these vision and values that we're going to like dig into in a moment. They're the foundation of everything you do. They're not just the foundation of your brand, they're the foundation of your messaging, your content, how you show up on your stories. When you show up and do lives, when you show up and do like live events, they literally shape everything from the way you market yourself to the way you attract those right clients. Okay. Because when you think about being authentic, standing out, owning your uniqueness, it all ties back to your personal vision and values. And if you don't know what you stand for, your audience are not going to know what you stand for either. Okay. So this is where your personal self strategy, the strategy of you, and your business strategy need to merge together. And you get to decide. That's the exciting thing. You get to decide what you want to be known for. And when you own that and stand by it consistently, you will then create a brand that like not only stands out, but it also magnetizes your people to you. So we need to really dig into these vision and values. And again, I've got some examples for you to help you out. But what is your bigger vision for your business and your life? And I want you to think big. Like, but I want it to be real to you. So, like, if you say, oh, I want to make I want to be a millionaire business owner, great, that's brilliant. But is that what you're really looking for? Do you want the life that goes with that, whatever that might be? Okay, really hone in and say, what is it that I want? And then if you've set yourself that vision, question it. Because this is how we always go deeper. It's like, is that my vision? Let me just check in with myself. Or am I just like thinking that's my vision because that's what other people say? Okay, so what's your bigger vision for your business and your life? What do I deeply, and I do want this to be deep, what do I deeply believe in and want my brand to reflect? So for me, one of the things I want my brand to reflect is authenticity and realness. Okay. I'm not over here in like, and I always said this from the very beginning of my business. I'm not over here like in suits and this like professional business coach, like stereotype. I am a professional business coach, but I'm also very real and very authentic. And I very much want my brand to reflect that. And that's key to me. And that comes through, I hope. Um, what values are non-negotiable for you in how you run your business and work with clients? So this can be like something, these are like the small things, and these are almost like your boundaries. So it might be a huge value to you is you're running your business and you're wanting to go full time in your business so you have more time with your family. So a non-negotiable for you is your family time. So you do not work at weekends, you do not respond to messages, you don't check in, you don't do anything. The same after 5 o'clock at night, for example. Okay, so get really clear on what your values are. They might not just be time related. That's an easy example. How do I merge my personal vision and values with my business strategy to create something that feels fully aligned? So how does it work? First of all, I'll tell you already it does, but you might not know the how yet. How can you bring this personal vision and values into alignment with your business strategy? So that you've got a business that is centered around you and not trying to make things fit. And then this is such an important question. And again, this comes into authority and your unique edge. But what do you want to be known for? Like, what is it that you ultimately want to be known for? And this can be in like this section when you're thinking about your vision and values, it can be something less tangible. So I want to be known for being real and authentic. I want to be known for getting results. Okay, it's still quite vague. I want to be known for, when we go into the authority and the uniqueness edge, it might be like, what do you specifically want to be known for? Like, go and work with Emily because she is brilliant at. Like, what do you want to be known for? So I want you to think about it from your values point of view for now. And then when we get into the authority section, I want you to think about it from what do you want people to say? That like, or go and work with her because. And then think about how you can embody that every single day. Okay. And again, just some examples of some values. So, and there are so many. These are just some examples: resilience, empathy, courage, freedom, inclusivity. And again, I've just circled some of the things that are really important to me. Think about the things that you're like really passionate and fired up about. Okay, we want to see those. To be honest, I could have circled all of these, but these are like the most relevant, I would say. And then think about like, how do you, or how will you talk about these things that are like most important to you? So like, for example, continuous learning is like really important to me. It links to my teacher skills. So it's nicely like threaded through into my business. You see me doing this in really subtle ways. Like I use the phrase quite a lot in my content, in my captions, or when I talk, like I'm teaching you. I taught my client like X, Y, and Z. I shared that story slide a few back where I'm sat there reading, learning, talking about looking into insights. I talk that I research industry insights, again, industry insights. It all threads through that this is a value of mine, and that's how I link it to my business. Okay, now we can always do more of this, but you really want to make sure you're showing your audience your core values and taking them on that journey with you. Okay, so my core business values are these five. So strategic simplicity is one of them, educational excellence, unshakably confident, and an unmissable authority. They kind of come together. Authentic alignment and boldly owning it. So these five values, you can see how I've pulled these through into my business. And none of these should be a shock to you because I talk about these things in lots of different ways. I show them in action and they thread through my content, my masterclasses, my offers, like Authority Mastermind. Part of one of my values is about being an unmissable authority, an unmissable go-to. And to be that, you need that confidence. And if you think about this mastermind in itself, we've got elements of education. And in my content, I pride myself on giving loads of value and educating as if it was paid for. We've got the strategic simplicity, like how we do this simply. I really try and build that into everything. Authentic alignment. I said to you, one of my core values is being real, being authentic, how we align that to our business, and then going out there and owning it. Like, I think that comes through very clearly in my business. But those are my five values. And everything I do, I check in with these five values and see if they align. So, one of the things that I would love you to do is really come up with going through these activities where you are looking at your values. Okay. I then want you to come up with, it doesn't have to be five, but I wouldn't say you want more than five really core values that really speak to you and your business. Okay. Because your values should scream who the fuck you are. Name of this training before you even say a word. Like, I want you to know them. I want you to identify them. And I then want you to let them drive every single thing in your business. So the last two parts of the strategy of you, I have combined together. So authority and uniqueness are basically the same thing. So we're bringing the two together because your uniqueness is what makes you the authority. So we have to go out there and own it. Okay. What makes you unique is exactly what's make you gonna, is exactly what's going to make you be the authority in your industry, in your space. But the problem is that most women out there, the women in business that are not fully owning it, those are the people who end up second guessing, watering themselves down, trying not to stand out too much because they don't actually want to show that they're different. And they're trying to fit into that like industry mold. But the businesses that really stand out and attract clients with ease, the business that you're growing, are the ones that fully lean into this all the way. They lean into what makes them different. They lean into their uniqueness. And that is what we're going to dive into in this part of the strategy of you. So how to own your uniqueness so that you naturally step into your authority. Okay, so What makes you the go-to? That's a huge question, but it is so important to identify this. Okay. What makes you the go-to? Because your dream clients aren't just choosing to work with you because of your offer or because of your service. They're ultimately choosing you. So when somebody is out there, and you will all know this from when you've been looking for coaches or masterminds or programs that you want to join, you're not just out there looking for the right offer, you're looking for the right person. So the things that your buyers, your dream clients are asking themselves is, who do I trust? Who do I resonate with? Who do I like? Who do I get a great vibe with? And who do I believe can get me results? So why should they choose you? This is the question of the whole training. Like, who the fuck are you? Why should they trust you? Because this isn't about saying, well, I have a great 12-week program. That's not enough. They need to see and they need to feel what makes you the best person to help them, the only person to help them. And the answer to that lies in your experiences, your strength, your way of doing things, because that's what's going to set you apart. And if you're not leading with that, you're making it harder for your dream clients to say yes to you. Okay. And I see this so often, which again is why I know this is key. People don't draw on the experiences and the skills they already have. They think, well, this is a business now. It's different from what I used to do in that past career, as an example. But there's so much you can pull out of your past, which gives you edge and adds to your authority. Okay. So, for example, one of the biggest things that positioned me as an authority, and I still build on this now, is like my 20 years as a teacher and a deputy head. I spent years mentoring, coaching, developing other leaders. So when I transitioned into business and business coaching, that skill set carried over. So I knew how to lead, I knew how to train, I knew how to give powerful feedback, which then meant my clients, you guys, get strategic high level insights that nobody else is giving them. They're getting those teaching skills as an extra to how I build my authority. Okay. While I was in that role, I had a reputation for building confidence and skill in others, which again is naturally and instinctively what I do now. Okay. So this wasn't something I had to figure out. It was something I already had, and still have. And you have that too. We just need to identify what those things are because you already have them. So, like things like this, like the marking, making the complicated simple, leading leaders, I see what you can't. These are the things that I use these phrases quite a lot in my marketing, and they again subtly link back to my career. But sometimes I will very specifically talk about that. That's how you build your authority up. Okay. You already have your edge. You don't have to create it because it's already in you. So the key now is identifying what really sets you apart. So let's find it. Okay. So first things first, this isn't an exercise you can skip. This isn't a nice to know exercise. This is your authority edge. This is what's going to allow you to stand out and position yourself as the no-brainer choice. Okay, so what are the top 3 life or career experiences that have shaped how you coach, teach, or serve now? Like whatever your industry is, this question is relevant. What are the top 3 previous experiences, skills, whatever that might look like for you, that now feed into what you do now? You might start with a huge list. Go through that, identify the top 3. What skills or knowledge do you have that a lot of people in your niche don't have? Okay. And what perspective do you bring that no one else does? So again, that's where my teaching would lead. There's a lot of other business coaches out there who also are teachers, but I make that part of my edge. Okay. I can't not do that because other people are business coaches and teachers. I add it to my authority edge and make it a strength. Okay. What are the key strengths people have always recognized in you? So if some people, a lot of the time, how we find this is by what people compliment us on. So not like our hair, but like, oh, you're so good at like making things simple, or you're so good at like seeing things from a different perspective, like your friends might say. What are those key strengths that people have always recognized in you? And how does your unique background, because everyone's background is unique and different, or your perspective make your way of doing things different? So why do they, if you're a mindset coach, how does your background add to the way you do things differently? Whether that's in your method, your framework, or just your whole way of doing your business. How does that add to it? Okay. So when your audience see that you have this like clear lived experience that also connects to their struggles, they instantly trust that you're the person to lead them. It's so important. When you own your uniqueness, your authority becomes effortless. Uniqueness plus authority equals unstoppable brand positioning. Okay, because your marketing becomes magnetic, your confidence starts to skyrocket. You stop feeling like you have to prove yourself and you just know. Because when you believe in your authority, everyone else will too. And this is when your inner authority will then start driving you. Because a lot of the strategy of you is your inner authority, all of it is really. And we are then going to take that inner authority and allow it to shine into all of the things that our audience see from us, the outer authority. So we are driving our inner authority during this training so that you can answer the question, who the fuck are you? This is where you start. I want you to go through each stage of this training, if you didn't pause me as we went along, because it's the absolute core of you identifying your authority, who you are, and then owning it. And everything else we do is going to build on this. This is your core foundation. So have fun.